So these are just some thoughts on Independence Day Resurgence. I thought I'd record as a voice recording. So if I decide to write something up later, then I can. Just a shame, I guess. I mean, I'm the one listening to this, so I couldn't. Yeah, it's a shame of a film. I liked the film. I've only watched it once. So I do need to watch it again. I liked it, but I can see what they were trying to do. They're trying to make it this more grand scale epic, but by doing that, you've lost something from the first one. Given that the first one is one up in my top 2 films of all time, I just something wasn't. It was never going to be the same as that or live up to that, but no. Something felt off about it. Like I say, I enjoy it. I can honestly stand here now say that I enjoyed it. Was it Independence Day? I don't know. There were certain elements to it I thought were good. So, expansion of lore, one ship touched down, and then there was a ground war in tribal Africa for 10 years and that kind of thing. That's pretty cool. If some elements of it are slightly unbelievable, that the rest of the world had developed all this massive technology and wouldn't have gone in and helped out with that and salvaged that ship. But that aside, I thought that was a cool expansion of some lore and some stuff later on with the fact that the ship they stopped, that was a thing. But that was sort of just the outrider, I guess, for this big harvester ship which turns up in this one. And each harvester ship has its own queen as such, captain the ship. I don't know why they just didn't call it that. A queen. To call it a queen makes it sound like it's the toppity top, which I guess we all kind of thought. Well, I certainly thought that in the first film, that the thing they killed when they shot the missile through the control tower was like the queen. I guess it wasn't. I guess it was just some controller. That's fine. I can live with that. But say, each one of these harvester ships therefore has its own there's a harvester queen, doesn't it? Just call it the harvester captain. That's fine. And I'll live with the idea that the one in the first film was just the captain of that outrider ship. I'm all right with that. But to call them queens is a bit excessive. And there was something too alien about them. By that I mean, your xenomorph alien thing about the way it moved. And I know they kind of moved like that in the first film, but this took it to a whole another level. I mean, at one point I literally thought I'd switched on to the wrong film and that Alien Queen was in it the first time you see the Harvester Queen. So that was a bit peculiar. And other elements to it, I can't tell whether the film almost seemed like it was trying to spoof itself at one point. Some of the characters, whether it be memory of, Dr. Oakenheart is slightly wacky in the first film. Okay, sure. But he's really funny in this film. And that's brilliant. But it doesn't quite match what I think the film's trying to do. There's other moments with Liam Hemsworth character where he's trying to be funny, but it just comes across as reckless or something like this, and it doesn't. There's too many odd tone shifts, and then underdeveloped characters. Charlie, Liam Hemsworth, sort of, I guess, a brother. I think what they're trying to go with there is Steve and Jimmy kind of thing from the first film, but it doesn't. That doesn't pay off at all, and that's not the actor's fault as such. I just don't think he's given a lot to work with. He's just two-dimensional as the needy younger little brother who grew up with him, and Liam Hemsworth is his only family, and he's got the role of being Jimmy from the first film. It's a bit random. I don't know what the Chinese lady's all about. That kind of seems like an odd one to me. I don't know whether it's kind of a Transformers 4 kind of situation here where the government put some money into the budget of the film, and so therefore you go along with that a bit, so you make sure they have one of their actors in it. Let's not say there was anything wrong with her. I'm not trying to say that at all, but she's given nothing to do with beyond being a pretty Chinese girl in the film, so it just seems put in. So that's a bit peculiar. Jeff Goldblum's character, you know, he's sarky in the first film, but he's serious. This one, he's too comedic, and Jeff Goldblum's brilliant at being comedic. I again, there are bits in this film where he was really funny and thought it was brilliant, but it doesn't fit the film. Too much goes on. There's too many location changes for my liking. And the biggest problem is, because of all of those things, it doesn't add up to Independence Day. Returning fans like me, you know, it's a 20-year-old series. I understand what they're trying to do is make it more actiony to bring in a younger audience. Now, the problem with that is you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it because of other films out there that are doing similar stuff. I mean, the biggest thing I can think of, sort of this interstellar battle-y kind of stuff, would be Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, there's a fight in that scene with lots of spaceships against other spaceships. You know, it felt like it was copying that. You're not going to win that crowd. So, do something else. And at the same time, therefore, it felt, because of that, it let down fans who've loved it for years. Now, okay, 1996 it came out, I'd have been 3, so no, I wouldn't have seen it until I was older, but I've known this film as long as I can remember. There's a few films that we all have like that. You couldn't recall what age you saw them, whether you were meant to or not, but, you know, they're ingrained. And this Independence Day was one of them to me, and this just didn't seem like a worthy follow-up to that film. Now, as I say that, I'm about to sort of put it on in the background, watch it again. Like I say, there are bits I liked. I really like the expansion of the lore. What I don't like is suddenly having the Traveller from Destiny turn up. So, you know, it was always mankind's last stand, the last bit for humanity, this kind of thing. And this one, it was they were back and the technology's different, but, you know, there's a line the old President Whitmore says, which is like, you know, last time we beat them through grit, I can't remember the exact line, through resolve, that's it, and we'll do it again. Well, yeah, so I see what you're trying to say. You're trying to make it similar to the first film, you know, just because it's you're almost, this is what I mean, the film doesn't get what it's trying to do. Is it trying to go bigger, or is it trying to say just because it's bigger it's still the same? Or I don't understand where it's going with that, because it just seems that they've made everything bigger, and then they have a couple of moments where they try to bring it real back down to a grounded level, like that first film, real fight for survival. And then suddenly you've got this huge interstellar dramatic set piece again, and it just doesn't work. But then you throw in this orb, which is still to do with, it's the last of its kind, and it's been collecting refugees from other alien destroyed worlds and gathering them on one safe secret planet, building weapons and a resistance. And then at the end of this film, they suddenly want you to come with them and lead that resistance, setting up a third film, which is suddenly what? I mean, how are you going to do it? You're going to need more races events. What are you trying to do? I mean, you're literally trying to turn this into Destiny or Mass Effect. In fact, that's very similar to what it's like, Mass Effect with the Reapers. You know, you're going to get this conglomeration of alien races come together to fight this seemingly unstoppable, ancient, always kind of been there destroying worlds foe. That's not Independence Day. You've gone from, you know, in a way, the first film is intimate and personal. It's a few people's lives converging because of an event, and it's quite personal for that. I mean, the moments where Russell Case flies into the laser the first time, you see his son watching and listening on. I mean, you feel like you're observing a personal moment. It's emotional. You know, when you watch David melt down in the control room getting drunk because he doesn't think he can do anything, and his dad walks in and talks to him. It's these personal touches, these personal moments in the first film. In this film, it tries to have a couple of them. It doesn't hit the notes, and now you're telling me the third one, if they make it, and God, I hope they do, because I want it to round off a trilogy, even though I didn't think this was great. It's just not, it wouldn't be doing the first one justice to leave it with this hanging thread of a sequel. But I don't think they'll get the third film. I don't think this one, from all accounts that I know of, made enough money. More often than not these days, they come out almost straight away saying that they're making the sequel. They haven't for this. I mean, half time now. They announced it even before the film's out that they're making a sequel. It's been greenlit. They haven't with this. Now, there was lots of talk originally about that it's already been written, and the idea was to do, both parts have been written. But I've been reading some bits, and I'm not convinced of that now. I don't think it's quite going to work. I need to check about the director, because the stuff I've been reading implies that it's the same director from the first film, Roland Emmerich. To be honest, after all these years, I don't know who directed the first one. In fact, let me grab the DVD, the Blu-ray now, walk it into the light, and let's check. Who directed you? Roland Emmerich. So he's tanked his own film. I don't understand that. If he directed the one 20 years ago, is it just that effects are different now and he decided to really go at it? I don't understand. I don't know what's going on with that. And I know I'm saying I don't understand a lot. That's the point with this. I don't understand what Roland Emmerich has gone for. Why the sudden shift in direction to this, intergalactic war? In a way, I think it's cool, but the execution of it hasn't worked, and it could end up really costing the film. From what I can understand, it's made its budget back, so there's nothing standing in the way of a sequel that way. But film studios now, they're looking for their golden sticks, their golden carrots. They're tending not to green light stuff that hasn't worked. These sequels for underperforming films aren't happening anymore. Gone are the days where, you might get a rubbishy second film in a franchise, but then you'd still get a third one a few years later. Probably still not as good as the first one, but you would still get it. I can think of examples now in terms of. Oh, well, I could. They were in my head a second ago. Okay, the Spider-Man film's a bad example. Everyone raves about the second one. It wasn't really for me. People say X2 was the best of those films. There was one in my head a second ago. What was I thinking of? Oh, Die Hards. Die Hards would be one. How many of those did we end up getting? Resident Evils didn't really pull in numbers. Even the Matrix trilogy, which is, blockbuster. The second one's not great, but gone are the days where you still end up with Revolutions. You end up the third one. So I really hope they make the third one, and I can see the story play out. I feel you've dangled this continuation of this story that I love, and now I need to see how it ends. Don't tell me I can't see how it ends. I could pretend that the sequel never happened. But that's just poor storytelling when, and not fair on fans when you have to get to the point to say, well, look, we haven't, I did my best, but it clearly wasn't good enough, so we're not going to carry on with the story. You either have to finish it in your own heads or take it just from that was the story, or pretend that the sequel setup and all that didn't happen. You can't, it doesn't, so that's poor to me. So they better make the third one. I'm going to hold my breath in the hope that there's an announcement at some point, but it's been a few months since this one was in the cinema. It's been out on Blu-ray for a little while. I hadn't heard amazing things about it, so hence why I never saw it in the cinema. I really wanted to, but it was just things I was hearing. When you take something so beloved to you, and then you're hearing not good noises about the follow-up, part of you doesn't want to see it just in case. And in a way, I think that's the only, if there isn't a sequel to this one, if there isn't Independence Day 3, that's the best advice to fans of the first one that I can give, is don't pick up the second one. Leave your beloved story where it was. Because if they don't make another one and they finish it off, you are going to be left smarting like I am now. That's initial thoughts. Now I've spoken about these, I'll try and write something up at some point. And I'll watch it again and put down any more thoughts, I think, and try to put together an article. Oh, last note, I do think the idea, the fact that the one ship touched down and then sent out a distress signal, that's a sensible notion. They were being attacked. They realised they were being defeated, although it was meant to be a simultaneous strike around the world. But obviously, it's possible it wasn't. And, I get that maybe one would have sent a distress signal. I think that it would have taken time for that to travel and then for the aliens to follow it up. I get that. I think that's quite cool, especially if it was sort of just the scout ships out there looking for things, and they had one small drilling ship that they thought could do the job, and your big harvester ships stay back waiting for when they're really needed for a big gas giant planet or something like that. That's cool. That makes sense. I'm alright with that. I like that device. Again, there's just a plot issue there with all the money being spent on stuff to the moon. That why you wouldn't help these rebels out, fight the aliens, take over that ship, and you'd have discovered that earlier. Unless you're saying they said the lights only came on in the last few days. Well, does that include the control panel with the distress signal? Because I was under the impression the lights only lit up because the other ship was on its way. Similar to the crashed ship in the first film. Or was it one of these, the signal got sent, I'm going to take it as that, actually. It got beamed out just before the ship shut down. Mothership blew up as everything was shutting down on emergency backup power or something. Because the mothership gets blown up and then, oh no, that's right, the other ships are still alive, it's just their shields go down. So yeah, so in that moment they sent a signal, then they got shut. Why did their ship switch off then? You see, that doesn't make sense. After they blew up the mothership, the ships were still functioning. It was the shields that went down. So if this ship didn't get blown up, it landed, why did it then all switch off? I don't understand that. Okay, well there you go, there's no problem with that. That's a real shame. Yeah, I've been recording this now for about 17 minutes, so it shows, I clearly got a lot of thoughts on this. Okay, I'll possibly add to this recording after I've sort of thought about stuff a bit more. Okay, cut.